I'm Bill Zortman, and welcome to an August report card show that's not on Monday. It comes at a time that we're doing live days with the Sioux Empire Fair on Monday and Wednesday, and the report card show for August makes a Tuesday. Tomorrow in this hour at the Sioux Empire Fair, we gather the farm political leaders across the state. Ag Appreciation Day. Mayor Paul Tenhagen, the Ag Secretary, Hunter Roberts. I'm told Congressman Dusty Johnson is joining us. I even had John Thune's people try to crash the party. I'm not sure if I gave him a yes or a no, but you'll know tomorrow. And Ag PhD's nationally known Darren Hefty, Baltic-based, of course, and Mr. Agriculture himself, Jim Wooster, before he goes on stage and starts singing at 11:30. No guitar allowed on the program. But this is the Report Card Show, and we've got the keynoter himself, Mr. Tony Bachman, Coldwell Banker. You've got everything set up this morning.
We're good to go.
Pictures.
Yeah. I got the cameras running, so we can get your smiling face and your tie on, and I got my tie, so we're right in our wheelhouse.
And who's this lady in green over here?
And Miss Ann Ferrell is the president of the Realtors Association of the Sioux Empire. So
glad to be here.
She's been holding the helm since January, maybe soon December. Yeah, December you took over helm.
Yep.
So are you counting the days till the year's over?
Oh, maybe a little bit. Actually, it's been a ball. I have loved doing this. I think we've made some fantastic growth and improvements and changes in our association that benefits the members and the consumers, which is really critical. And by the time I'm done, it'll be time for Tara to come on board as our next president. So it'll all be good.
Yep, Tara Allen's scheduled to be the president here this next year. But
yep.
Yeah, Ann has been a great asset to our organization, facilitating a lot of conversation. I think anytime that you have success in an organization because you're having conversations, you're got a meeting of the minds, and so there's a lot of people there. They're all trying to do what they can that's best for the organization and for our clients, of course.
Yep.
The good thing, and the reason I didn't mind moving this show to Tuesday was because of the fact that we deserve to be right beside the kingmakers with all the things that have happened with the building permits hitting $1 billion in just a little over 7 months. That's a big deal. All the numbers that we're seeing, people that are buying, South Dakota is getting all kinds of notoriety, and you've got enough notes this morning. I mean, I don't know how many emerald ash trees you had to kill, but my guess is you got a few that you have felled overnight.
Well, and the other thing is that just so you know, these notes actually carry me through the month because I actually, go back to them as a resource throughout the month. So it's been yes, I have a lot of pieces of paper here, but the other thing too, just so you know, I do recycle, so it's all good. So
that is good. The other thing that surprised me, and I've got to tell you this morning too, that the fact that you were able to pull out and say, as of Sunday, these are the latest numbers, which means you went 8 days beyond what the normal raise report would have.
Right. Well, we're just trying to stay current, with what's happening. So when we're reporting, it makes it easy so people can relate to it. And, I think with our July market indicators and housing supply overview, August was, right now, here we are, we're in August. I mean, the fair's on, kids are getting ready to go back to school, so it's an exciting time of year. Also, traditionally in the real estate market, we see a lot of activity because people are looking at potentially new school districts or, when they're going to, maybe make that move to their new home. So, but, right now, we get a number of questions that are asked, and I kind of threw that out in our notes where I said, the questions that we're typically getting asked is like, are home prices going to fall? Is the housing market in a correction? Is the housing market going to crash? And so they're all related. I mean, it's just people couch it in a different way. And I would just say that right now, all the economists and what we're seeing is that we don't anticipate any reduction in price. Actually, we're looking at an appreciation in price. What we're seeing, if you're talking about a correction, because I don't know if it's called really a correction or not, but we're just seeing we're going back to more of a normal market, like back in 2019, which means things are not quite so frenetic. We're not such high velocity. We're still seeing multiple offers. And I think with my notes that I sent you in reference to, you talk about the stats on Sunday, that is pertaining to, how many homes were actually available on the marketplace for people looking under 300,000, and it's still a pretty tight market for those.
It is. And, I think one of the things I appreciated that you and I had talked about earlier, too, was that whole concept of correction. That applies really well to maybe the stock market, but not so much to the real estate market, because our values are not going down. They are still going to continue to appreciate, just not at the fast pace that they were. It's still a good pace. It's still a good time to buy and sell, and a smart time to be working with your agent so that you can still get your offer in on those houses that are under 300.
Right.
The days on the market, that is a number that we used to, if you were on the market 60 days, that was an excellent deal. Wouldn't you agree with that, Ann?
Oh, yeah. And now people say, well, it's been on the market 4 days. What's wrong?
Yeah.
That's today. That was then.
Yeah. That probably that's the one thing that is people have gotten so used to, you put it on the market, either you get an offer, the same day or within a couple days, right. Or maybe you say, hey, we're going to time period of, 4 or 5 days. We're going to collect offers and then we're going to review them. So now all of a sudden we go 4 or 5 days before we get an offer. Mm-hmm. And then everybody's second guessing themselves. Did we price it right? What are we doing? Did we not put something on there, correctly? And it's just back when we were doing this, when I came into the market at 2008, it wasn't uncommon to put a house on the market, and we may be lucky if we get a showing in the first 7 to 14 days, or have an open house and maybe have 1 or 2 people show up. I know that we're not in the same market, but it's all perception.
It is.
We still have busy open houses. I think
absolutely.
We had an open house on Sunday, and we had it's a $1.1 million home. We are all over the spectrum when it comes to prices, but we had 7 sets of people that came through. So it's not like we're crickets where people are just practicing solitaire or anything like that at their open house. We're busy. And I know the weekend before I did an open house, I had 15 sets of people that came through. It was a juggling act. It was actually kind of fun because you get to juggle your conversations as people are walking by, and you have to remember what you said to the one person.
You're working the room.
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. So, but anyway,
the other thing that is fun too is if your parents are showing you through the house and they haven't done anything since 2008. And they're saying, well, you can cut 20% off that asking offer, and you can do this, you can do that. Doesn't happen that way today.
Yeah, that's part of that buyer consultation, isn't it?
It really is. And, I think that's something that you do have to help them through and ask, when's the last time you bought and sold a house? Because I'm going to tell you it's different from it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. In fact, it's even more different than it was
4 years ago.
4 years ago, even maybe last week. Things have shifted. How are we working today? I remember I had somebody once say to me, well, they always pad those by 30%. That's how they pad those listings. Well, that's really not the case anymore.
So what would you say today? Again, don't give away any trade secrets, but for the most part, if people are saying, well, let's pad it this number, my guess is you maybe could get away with it today where you couldn't then because of supply and demand.
I think we want to jump to believe that, but the reality is for some people, if you're using a loan, it still has to appraise at a value that a bank is going to give you a loan on. Has that become a
problem at all on the appraisal side? Because, again, if you got 3 offers and it's well above what the value is, what's the bank saying?
Less of a problem than you would think.
Right.
We do have a few that don't appraise. But it's not anything major. It's just a matter of, and we end up able to negotiate those, and 90% of the time without it being a big issue. Everybody's on board and they understand. So with that, I think that the whole part about when you price a home, I will disagree in the respect that we can't pad the price of a home by 20%.
No, we cannot.
I think you still have to price a home correctly. You have to show comps that, are comparables that make sense. Because I've had that question where, like, well, hey, let's just increase it 10 or 15,000. I'm like, well, if you price it correctly, you may get the 10 or 15,000 with multiple offers type of thing. But in the meantime, if you overprice it, you may hurt yourself in the long run and actually get less than what you should have got.
That's exactly right.
So that rule applies. It's been that way ever since I've been in real estate.
Yep, I'd have to agree because
but
it doesn't benefit you to overprice it.
Right. Well, and to your point about, when people come in and say, hey, maybe it's been on the market for a week, let's see if we can get it for less. You can write it. If someone is my client and they say that they want to write an offer for less, as long as it's reasonable. I'm not saying that I'm dictating what's reasonable, what's not. It's just that we still have a stat right now. Our metric from July is that the percent of original list price received is still at 102.4%.
Right.
So it's not like, back in the, we'll just say back to 2008, 2012. I mean,
Sure.
That's where things got into like 94%.
Yeah, and you were thrilled if your stats got up to 96% or 97%. That was bragging rights, but
and that's even misleading because
Right.
even when you got 94% or 96%, you still had people that were asking for allowances
Yes.
and other things, so that wasn't taken into account.
That's very
on
true.
That percentage.
We got the bankers coming in on the half hour, and we're going to ask them the same question we're going to ask the two of you, and we'll ask John when he gets on in the next segment. Is the housing market in a correction, or is it going to crash?
it's neither.
No, it's not in a correction. What it's doing is, I think the best term that I've read, and Ann, you're familiar with this because you kind of subscribe to the same, is it's called deceleration. We've been in such an accelerating market for the last few years. Now we're able to decelerate a little bit. And the best analogy is like we've been going 120 miles an hour for the last couple of years. So now we're only doing 90. Are we really slowing down? Is it a point where things are making a correction or they're going to crash? Absolutely not, But I will say in defense of anybody who's getting mortgages and loans and that sort of thing, yeah, they need to think about it a little bit because the interest rates have put them on their heels a little bit and trying to figure out how they can handle this.
Right.
And, Tony, I would kind of ask you, we always looked at the calendar and would say, if you haven't sold it by the end of August, you may not sell it. Yeah, because of people moving, because of schools, jobs, whatever it might be. What's the case today?
I'm going to let Ann answer that. You
Yeah,
teed it up
I
for
would-
her. It's like we're playing t-ball or something. Here, Ann, here's a softball. I'm going to put it right on top of this little.
That works best because if you throw it at me, I might not catch it.
I've heard about your ball playing.
Well, I'll tell you, I think every month is a good month to sell. We have really shifted from that best time is spring to end of August because now people that are buying, they still really want a home. So the people that are out there are the serious buyers. They're the people that have waited the longest to find a home and maybe haven't. So when you have an inventory that isn't strong, where you still need more houses on the market, it's still a great time to sell. If you've put it off, I'd say you've put it off too long. Let's get going. We still have time to get it going.
Yeah, I think that a little bit of to give credence to a little bit of what you're saying is that, I don't know if August is really the day. I think you get to into October, November, and we start talking about acreages or we start talking about lake homes, people are still buying them. Yep. It's just that it's probably not. It's like if I had a motorcycle, I wanted to sell it, best time to sell the motorcycle isn't going to be in November. It's going to be in March or April, and I'm going to get my maximum dollar. And that's kind of the consultation we have. But at the same token, if someone needs to sell and it's an acreage, they're going to sell it. It'll still happen, or a lake home.
I got a number of people looking for both of those, so don't stop if you've got one ready.
Yeah. No. Right now there's so many people that are looking for land to build on and acreages and that sort of thing, and that sphere, that little circle, that radius of Sioux Falls, it keeps growing. And we've talked about that where it gets to be 25, 30 miles. People, and even farther, they're willing to look at acreages.
All right, Tony Bachman, tell them how they can find you because we're done with the keynoter. We got to get in this other guy from the home builders.
Right. So we have a Facebook page called Tony Bachman Group. Our website is cbsiouxfalls.com, and my cell number is 605-201-5998. And I've got a whole bunch of notes I'm more than glad to share with you.
I bet you will. Thank you. We'll do Monday next month. That's a problem.
That sounds wonderful.
We'll be ready.
All right, thanks.